VME family let my brother's girlfriend ban me from dinner after I saved their home, so I revoked the loan. Now they're sleeping on a couch. My folks have left me a voicemail. You weren't invited to dinner. Your brother's girlfriend doesn't like you. This was 3 weeks after I took out a $91,000 loan to save their mortgage. I answered, copy that, and canceled all scheduled payments, revoked all access, and destroyed 200 for receipts. They began contacting me, but I was standing in the checkout line at the hardware store, clutching a box of light bulbs and a new shower head, when my phone vibrated. It was a voicemail from Mom. I hadn't spoken to either of my parents in about a week, which was unusual for us, especially given everything I had done recently. I hit play while half listening to the cashier ask the person in front of me whether he wanted to give to a school fundraiser. Hi, sweetheart, Mom's voice chirped, too bright to artificial. Just letting you know that we're having dinner at the house tonight, but don't come by. It's not personal really, it's just that Sabrina feels uncomfortable around you. You understand, right? Anyway, talk later. I blinked, rewound, and played it again. Sabrina, my brother Ryan's girlfriend of 5 months, who asked me last month if my construction work was only temporary. The same Sabrina who wore fancy blazers to backyard picnics and even described our family home as quaint in a rustic way. I almost laughed in line, but it was not humorous. 3 weeks ago, I took out a $91,000 personal loan to prevent the bank from foreclosing on my parents' home. Their retirement savings had been wiped out in an investing program that my father refused to discuss. They were 5 months behind on their payments and days away from losing the only home they had ever known. I depleted my money, signed the loan, and committed to a 5-year payback plan that made my stomach turn at night. And no, I was not invited to dinner since Ryan's girlfriend did not like me. I went out of that store without buying anything and sat in my truck with the voicemail on repeat until the rage in my chest felt permanent. Then I unlocked my phone, went to the loan app, and started clicking buttons, cancel automatic payments, remove bank access, and delete saved recipients. Then I launched my Notes app, which I used to keep track of all the payments I'd made every month since college. When I began paying my parents' expenses, there were 200 for receipts stored there, including mortgage payments, electricity bills, car repairs, and groceries. Select all, delete. Then I replied, copy that. That was when the cable finally snapped. I wasn't always the son who responded, copy that, and pulled the plug on the finances. A year ago, I was still the son who dropped everything when Dad's engine failed on the freeway, the one who sent Mom $600 via Venmo after her card was refused at the drugstore. Ryan's brother lent him $4,300 to cover a deposit after he unintentionally overdrew his account while paying for a ski trip. Sabrina insisted on it. It was not always like this. Or perhaps it was. I simply hadn't opened my eyes. Growing up, I was the reliable one. Ryan wasn't the favorite Ryan, with his gentle grin and potential. Ryan, despite having crashed to automobiles by the age of 21, received a brand new Audi for his 25th birthday. By the age of 16, I had calloused hands from working on roofs in the summer and stacking shelves in the winter to pay for community college. I graduated debt-free. No one applauded. When Mom contacted me 6 weeks ago, she employed the same script she usually does, sugar with a rusted knife below. Hey honey, I hate to even ask, but we're in a really tight spot with the house. It's just, we're behind a bit, and the bank, well, they're being unreasonable, and your father's pride, you know how he is. How much is a bit? I inquired. Silence. Then she exhaled, 89,000, but there's a little extra interest, so really it's closer to 91. I should have laughed, should have hung up, but I did not. Instead, I got a second job that night, contacted my bank the next morning, and liquidated the down payment I'd been saving for my own condo, which I'd been fantasizing about for 2 years. 3 days later, the mortgage became current. The ceiling over their heads is fastened. Mom cried, Dad grunted, Kay used a thumbs up emoji. I should have noticed the red flags flashing right in front of me. The week following the payment, when Dad called to ask if I could find them another $1,000 to replace the refrigerator, or when Mom told me Ryan's phone bill was mysteriously on my account again, as if it had been a clerical error and not the 4th time. The kicker, I learned about the meal on Instagram. Sabrina shared a filtered story with this caption, family dinner nights are everything's grateful, oh my. In the background was the dining room that I had paid to save. My father is cutting a roast. Ryan laughed. Mom pours wine. My chair was vacant at the frame's edge. They hadn't even attempted to conceal it. That night, I phoned Ryan. I didn't anticipate an apology. I just wanted to hear his excuse. He answered on the third ring, nonchalant as heck. Yo bro, what's up? You tell Sabrina I'm radioactive or something? He paused and chuckled awkwardly. Come on, man, don't be dramatic. Was it her idea to uninvite me or Mom's? Honestly, he said, me. You've just been kind of intense lately. Always tired. Quiet. Sabrina picks up on stuff like that. She's really empathetic. I took a $91,000 loan so your empathetic girlfriend could sip red wine in a house I saved. Silence. Then, well, you didn't have to. You offered. I swear to God, my vision turned red. I offered, I told myself, because Dad was days from losing the house. Because Mom said she'd have a breakdown if they had to move. Because you couldn't afford your own life, let alone help them. Okay, calm down, he said. It's not that deep. You've always been the stable one. We all rely on you. I'm not a tool to be used, Ryan. I then hung up and blocked him and Mom and Dad. I erased our shared family calendar, denied them access to my Costco membership, and stopped the emergency credit card they used for household supplies. But they still had Uber Eats and spa expenditures. When the following month's mortgage bill bounced, Dad contacted me 4 times in one day. I did not pick up. Instead, I printed out every receipt I'd ever had, every transfer, favor, and invoice I'd paid under family duty, and shipped them to their address with a sticky note inside. Since you like records, here's mine, 3 days. After mailing the receipts, my phone flooded with missed calls. First Mom, then Ryan, then Dad, and finally Ryan, this time over FaceTime. Declined. Then a text appeared. Ryan's reaction. Dude, what is this? Dad's freaking out. Mom said, David? Sweetheart, this is too far. You're hurting the family. Dad said, this petty behavior isn't helping anyone. Grow up and call your mother. That was the final straw. That night, I drove to their home. My name is still on the deed. The same house I had saved, parked outside, and just stared at it through the windshield. Warm yellow lights in the windows, Sabrina's dumb decorative pumpkins on the porch, and the welcome mat that stated, home is where the heart is. I knocked once. Ryan stepped in the door, barefoot and holding a specialty beer. Whoa, he responded. You could have texted first. I walked past him inside the home. Mom was in the kitchen drying the wine glasses. Dad sits on the couch, arms crossed like a bouncer at a club. Sabrina wasn't there, thank goodness. I stood in the center of the living room. You know, I remarked in a low tone, if you're going to use me like an ATM, you could at least offer a chair at the table. Dad scoffed. Don't start with that poor me attitude. You wanted to help. You made that choice. Yeah, I replied, and I revoked it. Kay was pacing behind me. Bro, we didn't mean to hurt you. Sabrina just. She gets weird around negativity. You mean accountability? That's not fair, Mom began. No, I replied, cutting her off. What's not fair is saving this house and being told I'm too depressing to be invited over. What's not fair is draining my future so you can live in comfort and still be treated like a disposable tool. Watch your tone, Dad warned. Rising up, I am watching it, I said, and this is the last time you'll ever hear it in this house. I reached into my jacket pocket and dropped a manila envelope on the coffee table. Inside, notification of loan cancellation, revocation of my co-signer on utilities, and a letter from my lawyer terminating my financial power of attorney over their accounts. Ryan blinked. Wait, what is this? Freedom, I replied. Dad examined the envelope, his face going scarlet. You unhooked the mortgage. I did more than that, I explained. I informed the bank that I'm no longer responsible for any part of your repayment. Since it's technically under your names, they'll be reaching out fast. Mom's hands began shaking. But we can't, David, we can't cover that. You should have thought of that before you hosted a dinner party in my house and told me I wasn't welcome. We didn't mean to exclude you, she added, tearing up. It was just a misunderstanding. Then this is just a correction. Dad gave a growl. You're really going to let your family sink after everything we've done for you? I turned slowly. Done for me? I chuckled. You mean guilt tripped me into supporting everyone while Ryan played house with his wannabe influencer girlfriend? You mean never once saying thank you, or calling me selfish for not covering a third vacation in a year? Ryan murmured. Bro, it was just cabot. Stop, Ryan, I exclaimed, and he flinched. I gave up my condo. I gave up vacations. I gave up sleep, peace, and my 20s for this family. And you kicked me out of dinner for optics. Mom was crying and holding her face. Dad was glaring. This was your choice too, he said. No, I replied, heading toward the door. You will. As I stepped outside, Kay tried one more time. Come on, man, we're blood. I turned on the porch. No, I replied. Blood doesn't drain you dry and call it love. I left them standing in the doorway, three astonished faces silhouetted by warm lights in a house founded on falsehoods. I didn't expect to hear a single "I'm sorry" from the people behind me. They didn't believe I'd actually accomplish it. I could see it in their eyes as I walked away from their astonishment, the smug conviction that I'd crawl back like I usually did, that I'd calm down, swallow my pride, and be a better person. But it did not happen. The mortgage defaulted within 2 weeks. Their calls multiplied. Ryan attempted to text from a burner number. Mom sent voicemails ranging from sobbing to guilt trips. Dad even emailed me. Subject: we need to communicate like grown-ups. I didn't respond. Instead, I moved forward. I finally signed the lease for the modest industrial studio I had been eyeing for months. Exposed brick, a skylight. I have my own area. There are no family voices in the background. No Sabrina faking a smile over the casseroles I bought for. I utilized what little savings I had left to start constructing anew, this time for myself, and for the first time in years, I fell asleep, not the anxious half-sleep of a man carrying a family's finances on his back, not the tense napping while you wait for the next emergency call. There is now actual dreamless slumber with your lips open. I awoke to silence and freedom. Then, about a month later, Derek arrived at my workplace. I was on my lunch break, eating out of a Tupperware in the back of my truck, when I noticed him, dress shirt crumpled, dark circles under his eyes. He stood next to a black Honda with a damaged bumper. He approached gently, as though I were a wild animal. Hey, he said, hands in his pockets. I didn't say anything and just kept munching. They lost their house, he said. I nodded. They're staying at Lydia's. Dad can't sleep. Mom's not doing great. Silence. They're scared, man. I took a large gulp of water. Ryan sighed. I know you're mad, and I deserve that. But Mom keeps saying you're punishing all of us, that it's cruel. I looked him dead in the eyes. You want to talk about cruelty? Try giving up your future for people who see you as a wallet with legs. Look, I know we messed up. No, Ryan. You didn't mess up. You showed your cards, all of you, and I folded. He averted his gaze, humiliation seeping into the creases of his face. Sabrina's gone. Left 2 weeks ago. Said she didn't sign up for all this drama. I nearly smiled. Almost. And now what? I inquired. You want money? He shook his head hurriedly. No, I just wanted you to know that I get it now. What it felt like. What we did. It astonished me. He stepped back and added, you know, Dad still says you betrayed the family. But I think deep down he knows he lost the only person holding us together. I did not respond. He did not expect me to. I felt nothing when he walked back to his car, not anger, not revenge, simply release. A week later, I saw Aunt Lydia at the grocery store. She had tired bags under her eyes, her cart full of cheap food and off-brand soda. She saw me in the cereal aisle. David, she said, astonished. It's been a while. I nodded. Nicely, they're at my place, she continued, as if I didn't know. Your mom hasn't stopped crying since the foreclosure. Your dad, well, he sits in silence mostly. Say you'll come around. I won't. She looked at me, trying to figure out if I was faking. You were always the quiet one, she said finally. But I see now quiet doesn't mean weak. No, I replied. It means patient. And I ran out. She nodded slowly and added, you know, your cousin Marcus went through something similar. Different context. Same emotional blackmail. He cut ties too, and it saved his life. I blinked. Thank you, I replied, because sometimes it takes the most unlikely people mirror your truth back to you. Weeks became months. My parents' quiet got heavier and colder, as if they were waiting for me to apologize for hurting them, but I never did. Instead, I rebuilt my life. I became certified in project management, gained larger clients, recruited to helpers, and finally scheduled a holiday for myself, the first in years. No emergency phone calls. No more emptying my account for someone else's car maintenance. Rather than accusations, it was just me, the water, and the sound of waves. Then one evening, in December, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. It came from Sabrina's ex, not Ryan, her ex-husband. He wrote, "I know we don't know each other, but I wanted to say thank you. You were right to cut them off. Sabrina ruined my credit, maxed my cards, and told her parents I was abusive when I tried to set boundaries. You saved yourself. That takes guts. If you ever doubt it, don't." I stared at the message for a long time. I then screenshotted it and sent it to Ryan. There was no caption, simply the truth, plain and impossible to refute. That night, for the first time in my life, I recognized this. I was not the villain in the family saga. I was the escape artist. And I had finally slipped the bonds. I always assumed the end of this story would be heavier. Walking away from your own family after decades of duty, expectations, and artificial devotion would break something within me that I would mourn, regret, break. But I did not. Instead, I awoke lighter and angry. Not the kind of rage that burns down houses, but the kind that creates limits. The sort that whispers, "Never again." My days became my own. I got up when I wanted, ate when I wanted, and laughed when I genuinely wanted, rather than the dry, deadpan chuckle I employed when Ryan delivered another joke at my expense. I started working out again, replaced my old truck, and signed up for a weekend carpentry class just because I could. For once, life did not feel like an ongoing emergency. Then began the guilt campaign. My email was inundated with messages from extended family, aunts, cousins, and even some neighbors I hadn't spoken with in 5 years. "Your mother is devastated. You really should call. I know your father's tough, but he loves you in his own way. You're punishing them for needing you. That's not fair." Fair? Was it fair that I skipped my closest friend's wedding to wire $3,500 to save their utilities? When I postponed my first vacation in years because Ryan damaged his car and required a down payment on a new one? Was it fair that they arranged a dinner party in my house and then told me not to attend? Let me be very clear. I did not leave my family. I walked away from debt dressed as love, and I began living. I received a note from my former boss last week. He used to tell me that if I didn't calm down, I would burn out. They told me I was too loyal and responsible. Back then, I assumed he was just bitter. Now I know he was correct. "Hello," the telegram said. "Heard you finally chose yourself. Proud of you, man." That stung me harder than any apology my family had ever given. 2 days ago, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years. Sabrina's ex, her true ex, evidently. She abandoned Ryan just as she had when the money ran out. He appeared older and thinner, but lighter. "She ruined everything," he said, "but in a weird way, I'm grateful. I wouldn't have started over if she hadn't burned it all down." I nodded. "Yeah, fire clears the forest, makes room for something better." Before leaving, he said one more thing. "Ryan's staying with his friend now. Heard he's looking for you." I just smiled. He will not find me, because I was not hiding. I was gone, not missing, not lost, free. Here's the reality I discovered too late, yet just in time to save myself. Family does not refer to those who share your blood. It's someone who respects your boundaries. It is who claps when you stand up, not who grabs you. My parents had lots of opportunities to be family. They chose convenience. They chose Ryan. They chose Sabrina. Finally, they chose silence when I needed them most. So I made my own decision as well. I did not avoid contact out of spite. I avoided interaction in order to survive. And now, I am prospering. If you're reading this and you're the stable, responsible, and safe bet, let me tell you something no one has ever told me. You are not selfish for wanting peace. You are not cruel for leaving individuals who break you apart while calling it love. You are not a villain for eventually saying enough. You are human, and you deserve to be more than just someone else's backup plan. You deserve to live. And I finally am one.